More politics. More politics. More politics.
Okay, Jan, last week on Word Smatter, we covered the first 3 levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which, for people who aren't nerds like you and me...
Hey, speak for yourself!
Myron, I don't think Jan has any problem being referred to as a nerd. But anyway, Abraham Maslow put together a hierarchy, of human needs. And he boiled them down to 5 or so, and he prioritized them. The first 3, which we discussed last week, cover the basics of human development and motivation, and they are, in order of priority, physiological needs, safety needs, and love and belonging needs. But this week, I want to focus on the 4th level.
Esteem, right? That's basically what you're talking about now. Okay, and so you're talking about a much stronger social element than the others. I mean, they're social, but this is where that social element becomes much wider in terms of your environment. Okay, other people that aren't intimate to you or anything like that, but they're a part of your life and they make things happen for good or for bad with you, right?
Like a boss, for instance, or a love interest, or spiritual advisor. And that's what made me want to talk about ego in the first place. We defined ego as a sense of self, and that sense of self is what we bring to the world. And all wrapped up in that sense of self is our self-esteem and the value we bring to any given situation, or at least our perceived value of ourselves. And if the person we're interacting with doesn't value us as much as we value ourselves, we get our feelings hurt, or we write off that person as being an idiot or something, right? So for instance, I can't tell you how many times in the past few years since I've been broke and had to work any job I could get, which is almost always in the food and beverage industry or parking cars or whatever, and I find myself being stepped on by a supervisor of some kind for no particular reason other than he's in a bad mood or he's angry at a client and he's taking it out on us. Or what's much more often the case, he has a very fragile ego and he's a horrible communicator. He doesn't like himself, much less the people around him, and so he steps on people to make himself feel better, without any concern or awareness for how his ego affects the egos of the workers, which thus affects the quality of the labor, which thus affects the bottom line.
So the first thing you notice about this boss you're talking about is that he's obviously not concerning himself with your needs or even the company's needs. When you're describing him, I'm thinking he's the problem, not you.
But wait, he is my problem. I mean, it's a problem for the workers because this type of boss makes the job more difficult and sometimes impossible.
Right? If we feel confident enough in our own selves that we have our own self-esteem there, we're much less likely to react in extreme ways to people like that.
Well, yeah, but it's hard to feel good about oneself when you feel threatened. And I have a tendency to go off on these people, but for me anyway, I found that by sheer will and determination and prayer and the support of friends like you, I've been able to manage these situations without getting fired too many times anyway.
Right? A really confident person who's really being bullied by a boss, if you really have your own needs down and self-esteem, just plain will leave that situation. They'll quit. They'll go find something else.
I feel so sorry, though, for people who, frankly, aren't as strong as I am, and they're raised in a culture of poverty where they don't know any better. They don't realize that it is possible to work in an environment of support and trust and mutual respect.
Most of us, or many of us, don't feel that confident, and so we'll try to put up with and adapt to people of that nature because we need that money. And we don't feel confident that we can get that somewhere else, or that it's going to be so. So we take the lesser of the two evils, right?